Hey everybody and welcome. We are sitting in C.Verhage Photography in beautiful Waupun, Wisconsin, right on the main street. I am Matt, Senior Client Success Manager at White House Custom Color, and we are honored to be hanging out with Cassandra Verhage, so thank you so much for having us.
Yes, it's been so much fun. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, absolutely. We've had a lot of work in the studio and a lot of fun at night. We got to go on a boat ride last night, so thanks to your parents for that. That was beautiful. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the lead up to your redesign, because we did all kinds of work yesterday hanging up. I think we counted almost 50 pieces we put up on your walls.
Wow.
And you know, you're in a beautiful downtown location. We were talking yesterday that your building's almost 150 years old. You know, so there's some challenges that come in there, you know, with some materials in the walls, and you know, nothing's probably square, but that's okay.
Yeah, no, or level.
Or level, yeah, exactly. But the space really absorbed 50 prints well.
Yeah.
So if you were going to like recap yesterday and like seeing it all, especially last night when we all stopped here and looked at it from the outside when it was dark outside and beautiful and warm inside, what is your initial reaction? Like, what do you think the huge change is going to be in business for you moving forward?
I don't know, because usually I go in through the back, but last night I was like, I'm going to drive past the front and see what other people are seeing, you know, now that it's different. And I just drove by and I was just like, wow. You know, like you, even at like a quick glance, like it really caught your eye with the lights being on in here, like, and just seeing this bright building with like all of these colorful prints on the wall, and like it just really stood out.
Yeah,
it really looked nice.
It's so warm and cozy, and definitely like we were the same way. We were driving up to it, we were like, whoa, that looks so cool. It's very inviting. It feels very high end.
Yes.
You know, even from the outside, just driving by, it works out really well. So to begin the process, and we're gonna talk about each individual grouping that we put up, but really where this process started was, it was earlier this year, probably March-ish.
Yep.
You know, and you called and were like, hey, I want to switch out this one grouping. Can we do something for that? You know, we Zoomed and you walked me around your space, and I was like, go outside. I want to see what this building looks like. And you can't help but fall in love with this building if you look at it from the outside. I mean, the character of it and the way that you have it designed, like it's fantastic. So let's start at the outside and work in.
Okay.
So located on Main Street, you're getting thousands of cars going by here per day. And now I think we're really utilizing the front of the building to draw people in. So let's talk about the front display windows first.
All right.
And my crazy idea to hang everything.
I was like, and even when we started working on everything, the windows were the last thing that I picked. And I was like, oh yeah, we'll do the windows. Because it's always just been a headache for me to change out those windows. Everything that I put in there, it's direct sunlight, everything just fades. Yeah. So it was like, if I had a picture in the front window, a framed print, it would just like go there to die basically, because it would just fade so quickly with the old glass that I have. Right. So I just was always like, oh, you know, the windows. So
going back to what you were saying about, you know, you were going to put things in the window to kind of die, you know, because you do get a ton of sunlight, and it would just fade things out or, you know, kind of burn things up. I was like, perfect place to use the outdoor metal product. So what we did is we actually hung off of your ceiling, and now you don't have any easels, you don't have anything cluttering up the ground. It's a very clean, minimalist look. And that's a look that I know you like. You like to keep things really simple. Yep. And now that'll be a really good way to utilize that product in your front window so things don't have to go up there to die.
Yeah, no. And I love how they're higher up too for the flow of traffic. Like you can easily see them from your car.
Yeah, absolutely. Above the parked cars next to it. Yeah, for sure. So if we're gonna walk into the studio, you come into the room that we're sitting in right now, and it's a big space.
It is.
And it's warm, it's inviting, it's got the awesome tin ceiling, you know, it's got really good bones and good vibes to it. So this space you use for a lot of different things. Reception, you photograph up here, you probably sell product up here, you walk people around it, you use this as a gathering space. But now I think it's really transformed into a little bit more of a gallery space, in addition to all the other things that you were doing. So yesterday, it was pretty cool. We were still working on hanging stuff up. I think this room was done. We were all in your sales room, and you had some clients come in.
Yep.
What happened?
Well, it's a client I haven't seen in a couple years, and she walked in, immediately they saw the wall of the senior, and just, just awestruck at the metal, like was asking questions. Oh, metal, is this the new product that everybody's using? Just started asking a lot of questions. And then I was like, oh yeah, you guys haven't been in for a while. Like, let's do a family picture. And then immediately she looked over at the extended family, and I was like, you know what? I was like, your mother-in-law needs to come in, because I photographed their family before. And I was like, you need to. And she's like, oh, you're right. She's like, she'll be calling you tomorrow if I bring this up. And I'm like, that's a larger group. I can still photograph her family in that, but yet I could do the entire family. And it's something that I know the parents would definitely cherish.
Yeah, definitely. And I could tell the senior, she loved that metal product. She was like, ooh,
oh, yeah.
I want this.
Yeah, she was 13, so I'm thinking, oh, you're a couple years away.
Yeah,
this will
exactly.
be you soon.
That's good. So with that being said, that's like just the very first experience that one of your clients has had with this space. Lucas and I were talking about, you don't know when you go into Target that you want something that's there until you see it.
Oh, yeah.
You go in for a pair of socks and you leave $500 later. And that's what we hope is going to happen here too. People come in, they didn't know that all this stuff was available before. I mean, you had some displays that we'll talk about, but now you've got a bunch, and we kept it clean, but put enough up for people to see the product. So let's talk about that senior display that you were just referencing. Okay, so that is going to be 4 20 by 40s, and those are on the float mount. They're white base, high gloss, and you chose everything from one session, which is very important when you're trying to sell wall groupings. So it's from one senior girl, but the colors in them are just fantastic. So tell us about how that session went. Was that over many days, or how did that?
Yep. She did 2 different sessions. One was, there's a little festival in town, and I took her to that because I was like, let's go do pictures, with the carnival in town, because it's just like bright, bold colors. And she had like a great array of outfits to kind of complement that. And so we did a couple there, and then she did a different session. She actually came down to Madison. We did some stuff downtown in like a more artsy part of the town where there's just a lot of like painted walls and, different areas to go. And that's where we found like the pink wall and then the wall with the multicolors on it. So it was fun, and like tying them all together is something maybe I wouldn't have done before, but then when I started looking, I'm like, I just really want like bold, bright colors that pop, especially on the metals up front with all this natural light.
Yeah, totally.
And it really ties in well together.
In that grouping, I love that it's 4 of the same size. It's like a film strip storyboard of her session, and it's very easily like looking at an album page and just putting it up on the wall. Yeah, so it's super cool. And then our next grouping happens to be a couple little kiddos that you know very well.
Yep, those are my kiddos. So I wanted something to show inside the studio. I felt like I had a lot of outdoor ones, but I love shooting in my studio. I have my studio, I'm proud of my studio, and like I want people, like when they come in, I want people to see in my studio too. I don't want them to think, oh, shoot, should we have gone outside? I want them to like see something that they fall in love with and are like, oh, perfect, we can do this today. Yep, we can. So I was looking for like just the perfect session, and then I realized, you know what, I'm just gonna take a picture of my kids, and I did, and that's what happens with a 2-year-old. So, but I love how it shows their personalities, how they interact with each other. Like I look at those pictures and I'm like, those are my kids. And I want other parents to think that too. Like I can put pictures up on my wall that like really display who my kids are.
Absolutely. And another cool thing about that grouping, in addition to the images are awesome and it's your kids, is that it's a mixed surface grouping.
Yes, I love that. I love mixing surfaces.
Yep, and that is very on trend. You see a lot of that in design right now. So what that is a 36 by 36 premium gallery wrap. It has semi-gloss laminate on it, and then we paired that with 2 20 by 24 metal prints with a semi-gloss surface. So even though those surfaces are completely different, the sheen of them or the gloss level works really well together. So if you're considering doing mixed surface groupings, that's a really good way to start, and think about the surfaces and how they interact with each other, because those two play very well together. I always say. Yeah, for sure. So if we go into the corner, we have an acrylic back there. So that is a senior boy, correct? Yep, exactly. And the acrylic has been a super popular product. Now that's one of the only standalone prints that we put up in the studio. We really focused on the groupings there. So, and that one has a 3/4 float mount. Yep. So tell us a little bit about that session.
That session, originally I'd wanted to do a four image of him, because I just really loved all of the variety that he gave me, and I really love showing that like guys can have just as much fun with senior sessions as girls can. Definitely. And so I just really wanted to display that, but then in the end I ended up swapping out that 4 up for him, and then he bumped over the other senior that I had in that spot. But I really liked that image just because of the sky and the color and how it was gonna pop with like the natural light, because it faces the windows. And I don't know, I think it looks amazing. Like when you guys took it out of the box, I was like, oh my gosh, that is beautiful. I should have ordered more.
Yeah. Where have I heard that before?
Right.
But it's also really nice to have the comparison. You have the 4 20x40 metals, and you have the acrylic. So like that girl that was in here yesterday, she's like, I either want a metal or an acrylic. Like she was drawn to both of those more glossy, more contemporary pieces with surface. So it's fun to see that comparison within close range of each other.
Yeah,
so I think
and then I love how she asked about like, oh, how heavy are they? Are they really heavy? And I was like, here, hold it. No. I'm like, no, just grab it, hold it. And she picked it up and then picked up the metal. I was just like really surprised too on how lightweight the metal was too. The acrylic is not heavy though, but.
And that's a great sales technique. If you hand something to somebody, they get possession of it, and they want that then. So that's awesome. So let's bump over to this grouping up here. This was one of the first ones that you finalized.
Yes.
Up here, yep. Yes. And we kind of went back and forth about placement of an existing grouping that you had, but this one with the color tones and your location worked perfect with the blue wall. So before we get into that, let's talk a little bit about your location here. Okay. So Waupun is a town of what, 13,000, 12, 13,000?
Probably 10
roughly?
people. 10,000.
10,000. Feels very small townish.
It is.
Everywhere you go, everybody knows you and you know them. Which
I love it.
if you're from a small town like I am originally, you understand that. But you're drawing from a lot of areas. Like yesterday, you had a client that came in from Chicago.
Yep.
Yeah. So how much of your clientele is actually coming from Waupun versus out, and how much are you traveling out to work with people? Do you kind of know that off the top of your head?
I would say it's probably less than 40%, probably 30% that's local, like right in the Waupun area within, 10, 15 minutes of Waupun. It's probably about 40%. And then the rest is traveling, I'd say on average between an hour and a half.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you've been in business for 20 plus years? 20
years in October.
Wow, that's awesome.
And then
Congratulations.
I've had a brick and mortar location, storefront on Main Street for 20 years in February.
Yeah, that's awesome. So it's really cool that you're in a smaller community, but you're really drawing from bigger areas, and you're positioned very well for that. So you hear people talk about it a lot. Well, I can't do that in my town. I can't do this. I can't do this. A lot of that's in your head. You've developed a very strong market, a very strong business in a small town. So you've done very well at that. So I don't mean to take a hard right there. Okay, so the grouping that's on our blue wall, where was that shot at?
This was downtown Madison. This is at the Capitol.
Okay. Awesome. So is that family from there, or are they from here?
They actually live in Austin, Texas.
Oh, wow.
And she was back home for a couple of weeks with their family, and she grew up in Madison. So she's like, that's where my heart is. This is where I grew up. And she asked me, would you, could we do pictures downtown Madison, like at the Union? She's like, I just want to capture, like my roots, like where I'm from with my family. And so it was just really special. She actually added in her mom to the session. So her mom's in a lot of the shots, and, so we have grandma and, the grandkids and the granddaughters and just the girls. So we have a lot of other fun shots from this session, and it just, I don't know, it was a very beautiful family. They were very fun to photograph, and I loved how the session turned out. Yeah. And they were just one of the first people that came to my mind, and I was like, oh, I really like that session. I would like to display it too. And I love shooting downtown Madison too. So it's fun too for my clients that it's like they might be located in Waupun, but they're like, we want to do something different. So it's like they can come to Madison and, you know, do outdoor stuff, and it's a totally different look than what their friends have.
Yeah. And I think that it's really important the way that you planned out the images for this room too. So you have outdoor, but that's, you know, a completely different location. The next grouping we're going to talk about is on location, but that's all green and colorful. And then we have a couple of studio images, and we have the senior on the metals that is all different locations. So you're really showing a lot of different options for people, which is really important. Okay. So this grouping back here, let's talk about the product that's made out of. So those are all premium gallery wraps, but what we did, and this is all the same surface, but on the ends, like the anchor images, we ended up float framing those, okay? So those are all the premium gallery wraps, matte laminate, and then on the end we use the wood weathered gray on those. It fits together wonderfully. So for those of you that want to do wall groupings and mixed surfaces, you can mix and match frames within them. You can do different products. I mean, there's no rules that come up with that. You can play and do whatever you want. One of the groupings we're going to talk about in a few minutes here, I think you have 5 different products in. So that, yeah, you can, sky's the limit with that kind of stuff. So let's move on to this next one. Okay. So originally, and you already touched on this, we were going to do a 4-up senior group up there. And then you kind of called an audible like right at the end.
It was like the night before. And I was like, everything's in my rose cards, like, don't worry.
And then I saw the order. I'm like, I don't remember that. But you said many times yesterday, you're like, that was the right decision. I'm so glad that I did that. So why did you choose to put an extended family up in your wall versus a senior?
I feel like all along I was thinking I should do that, and I had it always in groupings, an extended family, but then just nothing felt right. And then I was watching Adam Miller's video, and he said something about showing the extended family because I got to show this because grandma's going to walk in and that's what she's going to want and buy. And I thought, I'm shooting myself in the foot by not putting something on the wall and doing another senior. And so I just thought for the best practice for my business, I thought showing an extended family over another senior was going to take me much farther. So
absolutely. And it looks great. And again, you know, you combined products and surfaces. So this is a combination of premium gallery wraps with a semi-gloss laminate and then frame prints on either end. And I will point out that you're the first person to have this brand new frame molding that's in this grouping. So this is going to be our new woodland gray frame. And it's really fun to see that in person. It's nice that it all timed out well together that you could have that in this display.
It does.
So it looks wonderful. So that takes us to our last grouping. And this is one that we wrestled with a little bit yesterday. We didn't intentionally leave it till the end, but we kind of did because I knew it was going to be a little bit more challenging to put up. So this is our 9-up, and this is the Woodland Natural with the white matte, 2-inch matte, and then deep matte photo prints. And they're all the same size. They hang in a wonderful grouping, 3 across, 3 down. And the concrete walls gave us a little bit of a challenge on that one, but it ended up looking wonderful. So talk about how you wanted to do this particular thing because of the style of client that you have here in Waupun.
So I have a lot of clients that come, they started off with the baby program, so they come a couple times a year. And then I feel like they kind of get used to it, and then they come, you know, twice a year, and, you know, then it's like yearly. But a lot of times people will kind of come back for, you know, just some fun stuff like in between, like the Christmas ones or, you know, a summer one or something. But I have a lot of repeat clients. They just keep coming back every year for either a new family portrait, either yearly birthday pictures. And so I just thought like this display was something good that I could, you know, target my client that is coming back yearly, you know, and we can go back to old sessions and dig through and kind of start this wall for them, or it's something that they can start. Like they come in with their newborn baby and they don't necessarily want a huge portrait. Well, then you could buy one. You could hang 1 up, then you could hang 2 up, you could hang 3, because I have a display now that I can show that you can hang 3, and then 4, and they could just keep building over time if they wanted to. So I just thought that would really work out with the clientele that I have. And
absolutely. And that particular collage kind of bounced around from different places in here, because I think originally I had it out here,
Yep.
And then you moved it into the other room. And then I think it moved to one other spot, and then it ended up back out here. Yeah. I love the text I get from you. She's like, I'm really sorry, but I want to move this over here.
Or when I started off, don't hate me,
Don't hate me. Do you want to kill me? No.
I sent that one too.
No, but that looks beautiful, and it's an awesome display piece. And last night when we were driving by to see it from the outside, it looks fantastic. It's an attention getter for sure. And like you were saying, it just plants that seed in people's minds. Maybe they don't want 9 at the time, but maybe over the course of 2 years or 3 years, they may end up with 12. And it's something they can always add on to, split up, move around. It's a very versatile product. So cool. All right, so let's move into your sales room. Okay. So let's start with the big collage that you've had since 2020, because you and I worked on that one back then, and you really took the multi-surface grouping or multi-product grouping to a whole new level with this. So like we were saying before, you have like 5 different products in there. So what are those products that you have?
The 30 by 40 in the middle is going to be the premium canvas on luster. And then there is 2 framed prints, I believe an 8 by 12 and a 12 by 18. Those are on the Woodland Natural and with the flat mat, or the deep mat, sorry. Yep. And then there is going to be a standout. Yep. And then, there's a canvas, a custom.
And wood prints.
Oh yeah, there's 2 wood prints on top, and then the bottom one is a float canvas.
Yep. And you're really utilizing that as a sales tool in your sales room. So when people are getting to the point where they're trying to choose products, you're like, well, this is this, this is this, this is this, and this is this. Has that worked really well for you?
It has. It is perfect for showing sizes, because I feel like a lot of times people walk in, and I've had it that people walk in and they see the 30 by 40 and they're like, oh, I like this grouping. Oh, I like that size, Or people will say, oh, I like them, but maybe not that big. And I'm like, okay, well, I can sell you the next size down. That's still a big portrait. Right. But then it shows the frames, it shows canvas, it shows the float frame, and then it also sells the standout. So. Yeah,
for sure. And also, you pointed out yesterday when we were talking is that grouping is really designed where you could take, part of it and sell a trio out of it or sell a 4 up, and someone doesn't have to invest in the whole thing, even though you hope they would. Yeah. They could cut it back, and you can utilize that. A lot of these in this space are designed that way. So, yep. And you fought to keep that one too, and that originally was here.
It was supposed to, yes.
Yep. Or supposed to be there,
It was supposed to be there originally.
Yep.
And then we're going to move it over there.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it ended up just staying where it was at.
Thanks for sticking with me.
Yeah. So if we move to the little corner wall that's kind of opposite of our acrylic, we have a little image block grouping, which is fun. And those are just close-ups of a little boy kind of making funny faces. Mm-hmm. When you're designing your space, don't forget that you need some simple options, that somebody could look at that maybe doesn't have a multi-$1,000 budget, and they can connect with that and be like, oh, that's so cute. And from a photography point of view, how hard is it to get 3 different expressions of a little guy like that? Not hard at all.
Well, what I also love about that too is that it's 3. It's perfect for a lot of my clients have 3 kids. They can do 1 of each kid. There you go. Yeah. Or if they have 2 kids, then they could do the 2 kids together in, the top or the middle, and then the other kids individually. So I just figured that one was a really good, it shows you what you can do, and I feel like it's very easy to visualize the potential in it.
Yeah, definitely. And we ended up hanging that one as like a triangle, but it very easily could be vertical, it could be horizontal, it could be stair-stepped, it could be a zigzag. It's very useful, very functional in pretty much any space you want to go. Yep. And in the size that those are, it fits almost anywhere. And it's very easy to say, well, this could be larger if your wall is bigger, or smaller if you don't have as much space. Yep. Fits perfect in a little tiny narrow space. So let's go over by your desk. Okay. Let's talk about that. So you ended up changing your desk, you changed the TV, which we're going to talk about a little bit more here. But let's focus on the groupings that are actually in that space first, okay? So behind your desk, I really like how you combined the Gramercy frame and the 1.5 inch standout with a stainless edge. I think that was a really good idea. And again, you have to know who you're selling to. Like, your client very well. Like that 9-up, you were like, I have many clients that come for, and this is going to fit perfectly. I can sell this, because we wrestled about that a little bit, because I didn't want that to be a way for somebody to come in and say, well, I want to do that, so I'll just do one now, you know, versus like investing in a wall group and you're like, no, you're seeing it wrong. I have people that have a lot of images from the past. I think when they see this, I'll be able to go back and actively sell to those people. So you had a plan on that. But the grouping behind your desk, let's talk about that a little bit. That's again is a trio, but it's set up differently than your kids. So let's get your feedback on that one a little more.
All right, the middle picture is a 20 by 30
Yep.
with the Gramercy frame.
Yep.
And then the two side ones are 16 by 20s with the stainless steel standout.
Yeah, and that combo, I didn't personally think about until you suggested it. And I can remember I was at the lab and you're like, what if we did this? I'm like, well, let me go grab a couple samples. I want to actually see them together. And that really looks nice. Sometimes I struggle with mixing Standout with other things, but that particular combination worked out really well. And I think those images will really sell that product for you because new family, you've got the family in the middle, then you've got the breakouts on the side. I think it works out really well. So I just want to congratulate you on doing a good job, I think, of making a very saleable product. It's a trio, which is very approachable, in a good spot because when people are in your sales room, they're going to be looking at that corner right where you're sitting at. So I think you did a great job on that. So while we're in that corner, we put up a little shelf yesterday. Will you explain to us what the purpose of that little shelf and the small prints on there was?
I just feel like a lot of times when people come in, they are like, oh, they just have it engraved in their head that they want an 8 by 10. Maybe they'll go big for an 11 by 14.
The
and
big
so,
11 by 14, yeah.
Yeah. So I just figured I don't have any of those sizes to show. And instead of somebody just knowing what they know and saying, oh, no, an 8 by 10 is good, then I can actually physically grab an 8 by 10 and be like, oh, okay, so an 8 by 10 this size and be holding it. And it looks tiny. It's just a metal print with nothing around it, no frame, nothing. And so I have a 5 by 7 on metal, 8 by 10 on metal, 8 by 12, 12 by 18, and an 11 by 14. So I just figured that would be a great tool.
I really like how you plan that out so the direction that shelf faces is away from your clients. So it's not like you're putting that front and center, which I talk about all the time on YouTube videos and on design videos. It's okay to have smaller things to hand your clients, to do what you're talking about, that comparison. Oh, you want an 8 by 10? Really, this is what you want? But not making it front and center. So you have to go in your drawer, you have to go on a shelf, you have to go somewhere away from the client or in a place that's not as important to retrieve that so they understand mentally, oh, this really isn't as cool as what's on the wall. So I think that you planned that out very well. It'll be a good sales tool for you. So let's wrap up our discussion about your groupings and your collages with the awesome senior grouping that's above your desk. Now we went back and forth on this a little bit. As far as the design, the size, the product, all the things, but I think overall at the end of the day, you love it, right? Yeah. So that is a 2040 semi-gloss metal, and there next to it is 3 12 by 12 semi-gloss metals again, and that's framed into the modern metal. So what do you love about that grouping, and maybe even tell us what your apprehension was to it to begin with, because you had some.
Well, at first, when you sent over some designs for me to do, you had that right there. And my first glance, I was like, no, I don't like that. I'm never going to find pictures that are going to fit in that area. Yes. And so I was like, oh, okay, we're going to scratch that. But then I ended up watching, I believe it was
NP Design.
Yes, thank you. And they had that grouping and I saw it and I was like, oh my God, I love that. And I was like, okay, if I saw it and loved it, like I need to show this. So I put the senior in there and I just love how simple the pictures are. Just very clean and simple. And then with that metal frame, I just feel like it all ties it together. It's just very simple and I love it.
Yeah, it looks awesome and it's sized perfectly for the space. We actually went down a little bit in size from what NP has for the side images, but it works very, very, very well together. So when you were thinking about your sales room, we discussed like what are the most important walls. We want to put the stuff there that you really want to sell. And that corner where your desk is at is very important. That's very gold real estate, and that or that 4-up collage we're just talking about now of the senior, that is going to be front and center for people. So it'll be really interesting to see how subliminally people understand that that's really important and that's something that you really want to sell them. So hard to believe that, for less than 48 hours ago, we pulled up in the van with all the product in the back, unloaded, placed, hung, videoed, all the things, had fun in between. It's been a great time. Yeah,
48 hours?
Yeah, 48 hours.
We packed every second of that.
We have. And we managed to sleep a little bit too, which is really good. So thank you again for going on this journey with us.
Oh my gosh, well, thank you guys so much.
Really
it's
fun.
been so much fun. It's been
a
an
blast.
honor. I'm just so happy. I'm on cloud 9 right now.
Awesome. That's very cool. That's all that matters, is that you're excited about it, because now when you walk into the studio, you're going to be excited again about new products and selling, and then we'll be able to check back with you in 6 months and a year and see how this has really impacted your business. So awesome. Thank you again. And thank you all for joining us. We are thrilled with the results. We hope that you're enjoying the redesign series with Cassandra Verhage, and we will be back with you soon.